When it comes to playing solos, it's not about what you play, but how you play it. And really, it's not just about playing notes, but sculpting a solo that tells a story you want to tell, the same way a sculptor works with clay to make something beautiful. Ah, the new David. The important thing here is you don't need a lot of clay, and in fact, adding more clay won't help you at all if you don't know what you're trying to create. Adding more won't change the fact that your sculpture, in this case, your solo, lacks shape. It will just make things more messy. So I'm going to show you an example of how you can shape your solo starting from the simplest of melodies. Let's hear the melody for I'd Rather Go Blind, as simple and bland as possible. So that's the melody or the clay in this example. And now let's take a listen to these two vocalists, Etta James and Beth Hart, sculpt and interpret this melody into something each of their own.
Something told me it was over, babe. When I saw you and that girl talking, babe. Something told me that it was over, baby. When I saw you and that girl, you was talking.
You know you're onto something when you put tears in Buddy Guy's eyes. So did you notice those two singers had very different interpretations of the same line? Etta singing slower with a lot of emphasis and Beth faster with more trills and runs. Now the tempos weren't the same and that certainly affected things, but the melody is the same and the way these singers shaped it were different. It's so important to try listening to and learning the melodies alone first before adding any embellishments, because that's the foundation you can sketch out the rest of your solos from. Now let's hear how I attempt to sound as much like Etta's singing with my guitar as I can. There's still no way I can match her sound, but just attempting it really helps me to create new sounds. You know, Etta adds so many elements of music to a simple melody, like the space between the phrases, the vibrato, the bending and sliding between notes, but it doesn't sound too busy when she does it because she stays true to the melody and she does everything with intention and feeling. We can do all these things on guitar and they sound great, but lots of players don't use these techniques as much as they could, and more importantly, with as much intention and feeling like Etta does. So it's not about using technique for the sake of using it or trying to impress, but really to express the feeling that the song is trying to convey. So listen to how Etta plays with the dynamics in this phrase.
Something told me it was over, babe.
One way to emphasize this on a guitar is to play the first part with a pick and then switch to fingers like this. You can get a lot more of those sensitive dynamics with your fingers than the pick, you know that? So it really helps match what the voice is doing. Something else she did so well is changing the timbre within a phrase.
When I saw you and that girl talking, babe.
As I was trying to figure out how to best get this sound, I settled on playing this last part on a lower string than where I played the rest of the phrase because it matches her deeper sound a little bit better. So instead of over here, instead, you can hear just get that more of that oomph, that deeper sound. It's simple. It's crazy to overcomplicate something that's actually improves with simplicity. You know, most guitar players pay way more attention in the key they are in, the specific notes they're playing, and are disconnected from what really matters in a tune. So they're adding more and more notes and pile on random techniques when actually less is more. So go back to the basics, back to the melody, and think like a singer. Lots of guitars don't bother figuring the melody out, but when you don't, solos are often boring, stale, and just like everybody else, but when you focus on how to play something, you start shaping things your own way, and more of your distinct personality shines through. So, where do you start doing all this stuff? One idea you can try right now is to play a solo on one string as much as possible, and doing this will give you the same timbre throughout, and it's much more like a singer. And then you can intentionally try different strings for different tones, like I did in that edit example I showed you. And if you want a great example of an easy melody you can practice with right now, check out this video here for Let It Be by the Beatles. It's a great way to try this out, playing along with the backing track and either shaping the solo the way Paul McCartney sang it, or doing something entirely new with it, sculpting it your own way.